good? What's good? What's good? Nick, how are you?
What up, what up, what up? I'm good. It's good to see you. It's been a minute. How are you? How
Yeah,
you feeling?
been a little minute. A lot going on,
Mhm.
nothing too crazy, but good things happening. How's
Yeah.
everything with you?
I mean, I was on the road for 2 weeks and I'm exhausted. I was so happy to be back home in my own shower, in my own bed. But I'm good. I got to see a lot of people, went a lot of places, lots of flights. I'm happy to be home. I'm happy to catch up with you.
Word, word. Okay, okay.
You ready
And
to?
same old way. So, nothing drastically changed. I didn't, go on a 2 week hiatus. You know what I mean? Nothing that exciting. You know.
I don't know if it was exciting, but national conventions was all the things. So my sorority, the best sorority in the world, we had our national convention in Washington, D.C. 30,000 people attended our convention, 23,000 in person. So, we made the city red. And I got to take my legacy. It was her first national convention. So it was real, it was dope, but I was definitely hurting after that. My feet, my body, like just it was a lot, but I loved it. I got to do some things. And this is episode 18, which is my line number, special 18. So I'm excited to record
Word.
it.
Okay. I want to say probably the most exciting thing that's happened to me outside of, I didn't bring a legacy to Omega's, national convention, nothing crazy like that, you know what I mean? But I can say so obviously people know I work with the band or whatever, and we played for the pre-show for the MLB All-Star game.
That's
So
really
that was big. Chris and Jermaine Dupri. That was a shout out to them. They did an awesome job. It was great. I didn't. A lot of people don't realize how much work goes into that. Like 15 minutes. Like it's
crazy.
like hours and days. It's like recordings.
Hmm.
You on that field practicing, you gotta wait on pro dancers, you gotta, and you do all of this before Luda and Jermaine Dupri even come out. Like it's just like we do all this prep work, right?
Hmm.
Then dance show come, you out there like 10 minutes. Like you're waiting hours. Like you're going from station to station. You upstairs. All right, it's time to move. We're going to this next spot. You at the next spot for 30 minutes. Standing, waiting. You know what I mean? You got the earpiece in your ear. You can hear everything. Crazy. Bananas. But it gave me a fond respect for artists. It gave me a fond respect for the people in the background of the artists, that make the artists look good. The artists put it, it's their song. So they put in the work to create this masterpiece, and all of the nuances around it was amazing, yo.
It was
Shout out to the
amazing.
dancers, shout out to the band, shout out to the stage crew, all of the people that just was ripping and running to make it what it was. Between the fireworks and everything, it's a lot of small parts to make a really big picture. So it was really dope. I probably want to say that's probably, again, it wasn't something as historical as the legacy situation, but it
That's a big
was an
thing. Don't minimize it. Don't minimize it. It was a big thing. I'm really proud of you. I'm glad that it went off without a hitch. How big is the band? How many dancers? How many students were you dealing with?
man, it's a lot, man. And I want to say it wasn't all of the students because they don't come back till August. So these were just the students that were in town. And it
Mm.
was like it was close to 100 of them with just the ones that were in town, and it
That's
was
what's
it
up.
was dope. It was cool.
Good
It was
opportunity
cool.
for them too.
Gave us the prequel to what the season is gonna look like, and the band is coming. We gonna do some things.
I'm excited. I'm gonna have to come down to to go to a game and hear the band, see all the work that you're putting in.
All right, it's gonna be
Let
dope.
me know when it's a
So
good
are we
weekend.
about to get into it?
Let's get into it. Let's get into episode 18. Okay, I can give a quick recap if you could.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay, so episode 18, we are calling it Speak Up and Pay Up because in this episode, remember, audience, spoilers left and right, we listen to the podcast. But Jaleesa has stage fright. She's nervous about doing public speaking in one of her classes. And Denise owes Maggie some bread, and it's been 5 weeks and she didn't pay it back. So that's what we're gonna be talking about during this episode. So how you feel about that stage fright part? Because we just got finished talking about the band and y'all performing big time. Have you ever had stage fright?
Well, in college, I don't know how PWIs are, right? But HBCUs, we have to take fundamentals of speech as a class, right?
Hmm.
Kind of like what Jaleesa had, similar, but it wasn't fundamentals of speech. It was a different course that gave her the option, right? Fundamentals of speech, you don't get an option. You come in, they teach you different things to say and not to say. What a lot of people tend to do is they have like tales, right? And with these tales, they say things like a lot, or there's a specific word that they use all the time that people kind of tell that they're thinking while they're doing it,
Right.
and it teaches you to speak during those moments versus saying that word, right?
Hmm.
um and it was nerve wracking my first time. Excuse me. It was
Bless you.
nerve wracking my first time in this class. I'm like, you want me to? It's one thing to be sociable, right? I'm such a sociable person. I love to be out. I love to talk to people. It's another thing for them to give you a subject, an assignment, and for you just to speak on it, and then have to speak on it intelligently, and for your peers and your teacher to stare at you and grade you on
And
a
look at
type of situation.
you. You're a whole podcast host now, speaking
Right.
left and right.
I feel like I did well during the class, but I had to do things like look in the mirror,
Hmm.
practice, because I was a big ummer.
You
There's
still do
a lot of people are don't realize how bad like they can be with the ums.
Hmm.
I have moments where I know I want to say it and I breathe. If I can consciously think about it, I kind of
So
just
you
like,
don't think you say
well,
a lot now? Maybe just when you're
no, I think
speaking, not like casual conversation.
I think when I am speaking to people, even at work, when I'm speaking to people, I at my 9 to 5, I don't say at all. Like these people are so high up that I be talking to. You can't be in there like, well, because it gives an impression of not knowing,
Hmm.
right? So I am consciously thinking about that at work. Now, general conversation, I'm all day. Like whatever. Who cares if you think I know what I'm talking about when I'm talking to my friends? Like that doesn't really matter. But you do have to consciously think about that because it's a knowledge is power,
Right.
right? So I've had moments. I've had. It's easier to play, or I want to say now it's not easy to be a musician. I don't want anybody to think that at all. It's not easy to DJ. It's not easy. Like everybody thinks that them and their mother can be a DJ these days. It's not easy, but it's easier than speech. You ain't got to talk. You playing your instrument talks for you. You know what I mean? Like if you had to national convention, if you had to go in front of all your sorors
I've done
and
it.
speak,
I ran
right?
for office.
You're talking to all of these people and you're basically having a conversation and they're not necessarily talking back, right? They're looking at you,
Hmm.
but looks on their faces is where their conversation is coming from. It's way different than me saying, let me hit this drop. DJ Diggy, and then music starts playing, right?
Hmm.
Because I didn't say my button did the talking,
Right.
my turntables did the talking for me, so I could really be honest, look down at my computer the whole time, never look at the crowd and get to it. If I
Hmm.
really wanted to, that just doesn't make for a good DJ. You got to be able to read the room, right?
Hmm.
But again, I don't have to speak if I don't want. There's some DJs that never talk, and there's some DJs who talk too much on the mic.
So I
So
like
I just
I
What
like
you gonna
this
say?
moment. I think it's interesting that you use breathing to avoid saying and I use breathing to avoid talking fast. So if I know I have to do a speech, I'll force myself. I'll even write breathe in my speech to remind myself not to talk too fast. So I did go on stage, not this summer, but last summer when I ran for a regional position and I had to speak in front of, I mean, it might have been 10,000. I don't know how many people got regionals. Had to go on stage and do a couple of speeches, and I'm hard of hearing, so I had an interpreter up there with me. And I didn't prepare myself. And then I tried to get up there and wing it. I will never do that again. I will be just like Jaleesa. I will make sure that when I'm in front of however many people, I know exactly what I'm gonna say. And I like that they did this in the moment because I feel like it really showed an honest moment how people feel when they're afraid to speak. So I really appreciated that perspective in the episode.
But I do want to say that Hillman family, do not wing it. If you have to do a speech, when I say I've been there, you have to.
I will
I
never
was
do
an
it again.
MC.
Mm-mm.
MCs, they can do that. You can look and see what you need to talk. That's cool if you sociable. But if you have to speak to people on a business level, Delta Sigma Theta, that's a business. If you
Facts.
have to speak, Omega Psi is a business.
Hmm.
That crowd is you alive if you don't know what you're talking about. You hear me?
So, we get
Like,
honorary members, right? So after they
yeah.
become members, they get a chance to speak. They get 2 minutes apiece. The first person that came up, she had like a plaque, like a booklet of words she was gonna try to spit in 2 minutes. She kept turning the page. I was like, I know she didn't think she could finish all of that. The president had to come tap her on her shoulders, like, sis, we gotta move on. Like they were all
What
prepared.
is what is that? The award show? They start playing that music.
Yeah.
It's like it
Hmm.
is time.
It's like, just as Madam President, Madam
Rap
President. And that's when you see her flipping
that.
to the last page. She was serious, but she was prepared. She was prepared.
Thank God, Mom, Dad. I want to
And you, she
thank my
says, and you, Madam President, I want to thank you. Flip, flip. Yeah. Kid you not. And everybody that
I
said
can
something. I think the last person, she didn't have a speech written down, but they all killed it. I'm just not that talented. I'm not a professional speaker. It's cool. So how do you handle that? Like, how would
I
you prepare for that? Besides the breathing, being mindful of your what tips do you want to give our audience?
record yourself. Like when we were in school, they ain't really have it like that. Nobody was really just kind of recording themselves speaking.
Hmm.
Now 2025, record yourself. 2025, record yourself. Say it.
Yeah.
You feel you gonna say, record it and say it, right? And if you're confident in what you see in there, you good. If you're not, fix what you see in that video because that's you. At the end of the day, that's you. What you practice is what you're gonna do. If you practicing and every time you fumbling on a specific word, change that word. They got a thesaurus. find a version of that.
What
Nobody's
kind of
asking
stores?
you
You
to
got
be.
one at your house right now?
I have one for
I
real.
do too.
The thing is, you don't want to. Nobody's paying you to be a rocket scientist unless you're a rocket scientist. Nobody, half the time, because Obama said this a while ago. He said, these people are not geniuses, right? They just been afforded the opportunity to be at the table. They're just as intelligent as you are. They fumble over words like you do. They don't know. You know what I mean?
I
They
like
just
that.
had the opportunity
Yeah.
to be up there. That doesn't make them smarter. That doesn't make them more intelligent. That doesn't allow them to tell you what you could have done better via the speech because they're just as bad. Again, they just got the
They
connect
could
that you
just be
got.
more prepared than you. You got to prepare.
With that, it gives you the comfort to say, you know what, we are human. Let's get up there. Let's get to it, right?
Mhm.
And do the right things. I think Jaleesa's fear was normal, right?
Me too.
And the average person would have wrote a paper. Forget what you talking about. I'm about to write this paper.
That's what Judah
You know
did.
what I mean? Like I tried to when I was in school. I had an opportunity to do a senior recital and play my instrument, and I was tired, man. And I knew I could do it. Not a problem. I was one of the best percussionists in the school. I knew, like, playing was not a problem, right? And it's
Hmm.
not even really like that. I just knew I practiced so much that I could have played any of that with my eyes closed. I could have. My instructor was so dope. You know what I mean? I could have literally played with my eyes closed, and I knew for a fact that I was gonna be great. I was just tired, and I was like, instead
So
of
you
me
didn't
getting
push
this done
yourself to do
all,
it anyway?
and my the head chair of music, right? I go to her office and I said to her, Dr. Willis, man, I see some other students, they doing a senior project. They just writing a paper and they go. She said, do you think I am gonna let you, with a person of your talents, just write a paper and walk across the stage? She said the disrespect, right? And I was like, well, you just let such and such write the paper and
Y'all
it
are not the
spoke
same.
volumes. We are not the same,
You're not the
right?
same.
That's pretty much for me to look at myself that way is how my parents raised me, right?
Hmm.
But for somebody else to be like, you think with your talents, and I know the homie just wrote a paper, like, dang, the homie suck. Like, he must not be that good. You know what I'm saying? She was
Yeah.
like, for you, with the disrespect, sir, go get ready for that recital. Like, it was like, I'll see you next week.
I love
And
that
I
for
went,
you.
I went out there, I did my thing. You know what I mean? I don't regret it. Um, I just zoned out and kind of did my thing. But if she wouldn't have said that, papers would have gotten written. I prepared everything to go write this paper. I was going to do a paper based on music therapy. I went and found a music therapy doctor. I'm talking
Mhm.
about I
You was
had it
ready.
all. When she asked me, what you want to do? And oh, I got it. I got everything. I'm good. She didn't even give me that option. She said, you think, right? But at least Jaleesa's professor gave her the option,
Yeah.
right? I like that. Oh, that's
Did
cool.
you have
It
classes
showed.
that were that small?
My fundamentals of speech class wasn't that big. It wasn't like we was in an
Okay.
auditorium. And like, I think that's the big difference between, no disrespect, but I think when you go to a PWI, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you're like a social. You're like your student number. You know what I mean? But HBCUs, the classes tend to be a little bit smaller, more personable.
Yeah.
You know you're a teacher. He just doesn't know you as that number, and you're not like in this big lecture hall and he's just staring at the teacher and you're writing note. Like it's if you need to know, you know what I mean, who Professor Clem is, Professor Clem knows who you are too. And when you're not there, they know you're not there. PWIs, they kind of don't know, and so they just kind of look at
I
the
mean, it
attendance
depends
like,
on once you get to your major, you obviously know your professors. And sometimes when you talk to your professor, I think it's the relationship that you make it. But I did have a lot and lots and lots of lecture halls where I could just be a number and back if I wanted that. But I wanted my
yeah,
professors to
Clark
know
Atlanta,
me.
Clark Atlanta ain't have any. Most we have classrooms is maybe like 20 kids tops.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
I never went to
Classes.
like, oh my God, there's so many. Even my seminar class wasn't big, and it's crazy to think like you're gonna be in a small class because when you're walking the campus, you're like, there's so many people. And then you go into that building, you're like, this is it? There's only 3 tables worth? Oh, okay. And then you get to it. You know what I mean? So I love the fact that even with my general subjects, I know my teachers.
Yeah, I like that too.
Right. Outside of my majors because people struggle in different areas.
Right.
She, apparently, according to her grades, she's struggling in everything.
I mean, I think
So,
that's a whole nother situation. She's struggling to pay back her friends too. So
right.
So how you feel about Maggie and Denise? You feel like Denise was wrong for not paying Maggie back off top, or do you think it was just an honest mistake? She just forgot.
As Denise has ADHD, low key. Like
So do I.
she don't be focused. She don't be focused, right? And
Right.
we all do it. It's a big deal. But I'm also a stickler on bread. I want Hillman family. I want y'all to know when y'all see me and Nicky Nick, and you ask me for $2, I'm coming back for my $2. You can't buy a sticker. you can't buy a juice around me after you borrow that bread, because if that juice cost you $1, that's $1 less debt you're gonna have towards me. You know what I mean? Give me my money. You know, Maggie is such
Never heard
like a
you
nice.
asking me for money, and I borrowed money from you before, and
Is see,
I
but
pay it back. But I never had you asking me for it though. You got a big old
I
kind heart. You're a gentle giant.
that time span didn't pass. Like now,
It
if
wasn't
six
5 weeks.
months, yeah, like if 6 months went by, or not even 2 months, it's not a matter of the time. Like to be honest, it doesn't matter the time frame. It's what you do after you borrow that money from me, right?
Right.
If you borrow money from me and say, "Oh, I gotta do all these things," blah blah blah, I got you, no problem. Let's make it happen, blah 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 blah, right?
Hmm.
But and then you come back and be like, oh, I just can't wait. I just paid for Jamaica, and we about to slide over. You didn't pay me back. Now that becomes an issue. Now what you calling a gentle giant becomes a person that's like, yo, where's my bread? Like you not about to go to Jamaica. You better stay in Jamaica because you owe money. Why would you go? Why would you pay for a trip knowing that you owe me? And I gave it
And
with
I feel
no
like Denise
problem.
would have done that. Denise would have went on a trip, but she honestly forgot. And honestly, that $20 happened so long ago. I'm curious what they spent $22 on because those notebooks and her balances was way less than $20. That's a
But
big
you
bread back
also
then.
that was the late '80s going into the
That's a lot of
'90s.
money, $20.
$2 back then,
That's a lot.
gum was a penny. So $20, like gas was like $1 a gallon. If that's 89
Hey,
cents,
I
you
watched
know.
Waiting to Exhale the other day, and Whitney Houston was saying how she gave a dude $20 to fill up the tank, and it came up to like $7.97 to fill up her tank. $20 is good bread.
It's like, and
And she
then
buying
it was
hats and French Italian magazines.
right, but it's not Denise's fault. Obviously, Maggie's too nice, right?
She's very passive.
And I would have said something. I wouldn't even said it till I was fed up. I would have just been like, I wouldn't even. They wouldn't even made it. Denise wouldn't have made it to buy anything. I would have been like, hey Denise, do you remember I let you hold that bread? Oh yeah, I got you. Boom, 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 and keep it pushing. You're not getting to the hat. You're not getting to the magazine.
I think she
That's
could have told Denise at any time and Denise would have paid her back. She let it go for 5 weeks. I was on Maggie.
like let's kind of throw out there, right? It also a lot of that stuff is also based on the environment. They don't kind of throw it out there like that, but it is. Whether you like it or not, it's based on the environment. And some people are comfortable in certain areas, but when it comes to confrontation, you do look at your environment and where it's at and where you are at. And I understand Maggie is, let's just say it, Maggie's a white girl that's at Hillman, which is supposed to be a black school, correct?
Okay.
So while Maggie's chilling at this black school, and in her head, she's like, I'm just not a person that kind of attacks those type of things. She'll give it, blah, blah, blah. I think if she was at a PWI, she would ask for that bread a lot faster.
I don't think her
It's the
race got
comfort.
anything to do with it. I think it's just Maggie. I think Maggie is a
No,
scaredy cat.
Maggie, I've also had friends that are white at HBCUs, and it's like there's always that sense of not getting into it like you would if you were elsewhere. And not saying they particularly would. They could be a person that don't get into it anywhere.
Hmm.
But the environment matters. You know what I'm saying? Like there's certain people that do certain things in certain areas and it's not anything that's their fault. It's human nature. If even if it was say Maggie was black
Hmm.
and everybody else around her was white, right?
Hmm.
And you're at a PWI, Maggie would still been Maggie.
Maggie would have still been
Maggie
Maggie.
would have been like, Lisa, I just don't really, you know what I mean? Because the environment in your head, you're like, I don't want to cause these. Because Maggie really was just like, it'll be all right. You know what I mean? And then it
But
wasn't
even her
until it was
asking
like, yeah,
for Jaleesa to do it for her was like she was just too
yeah,
scared to even start the conversation. Jaleesa, can you just do it? Can you just ask for my money back? Can
right.
you do
But
it?
I do think that. Yeah, anytime the environment is going to always have something to do with it. They didn't put it out there like that, but us just being in college, I've had friends that were like that.
Would you do
I've
it?
had
Would you
I
be Jaleesa and ask for the money back on Maggie's behalf? Would you insert yourself into their issue?
offer it,
Yes.
offer it. I'm that friend.
Okay.
If the homie bought a hat and owed my other homie some bread,
You don't call them out.
and I'm not even no shady person like that. I'm not even gonna hold that conversation. I'm gonna be like, bro, how you buy this hat? You owe my man some. Yo, what's up? Give my man his money. You know what I mean? Why you buying these hats? Matter, go return that and give my man his bread. And we could laugh about it and all that other good stuff. But I'm gonna put it out there. Like I'm gonna tell you, one day somebody owed me money, right? I went out my way. They was stuck on the road. I ain't gonna say no names, but I was stuck. They were stuck on the road. I got in my car. I found them. Then I went and got a gas can. I put $5 in the gas can. Drove back to where they were. Put the gas in the car. They went about their merry way. Right? They was gonna give me the bread back. Saw some time went by, didn't receive the bread, whatever. I'm not tripping. It was all like, $5, $6. Gas can was maybe like 10, $15, but I used the gas can, so I was on some stuff like I can use it at a later date. Just give me my little $6 or whatever. It ain't no biggie.
Are y'all
Never got it.
kids or
Never.
y'all grown?
We grown.
Like
We
college
out of
or
college.
post college? Okay, out of college. Uh-huh.
And so I get up. We get up with some of my band fraternity brothers. We all chilling. We Peter Street getting pizza.
Hmm.
Same homie or person. I'm gonna say homie, but same person
Hmm.
here with us. Yo, let me get a slice, and yeah, let me grab a drink or whatever. When I tell you, I was at that table looking like, I know you ain't about to buy no slice and no drink up in here, and you owe me bread, right? So I didn't say nothing. I want to see where this was going, right? Then he said, "Yo, man, you think I could borrow 10 cent? Man, I'm a little short on the pizza and the drink." I said, "Absolutely not." I'm so instantly. Everybody at the table was bust out laughing because they knew what it was. They know how I operate. They bust out. I said, "Man, I ain't giving you nothing. You knew you didn't have it when you went to order that. Owe me money anyway,
He asked for
right?"
10 cents. Like
It was
change. He asked
random.
for change.
I'm 10 cents short. You knew you was 10 cents short before that pizza came, before that drink came, before you ate, and before you drank what you drank. And you owe somebody at the table money. What you should have done was, hey bro, I know you owe I know I owe you money, bro, here. Right? And then allow us as quote unquote friends at the time in moments, allow us to look out. Hey bro, you just gonna chill? You want something? I got you. You know what I mean? That's what friends do without you having to pay back, right? But you
Yeah.
so into borrowing the bread and not paying back that and you trying to partake. You can't owe people money and partake. When I'm broke, I stay in the house. It is what it is. Right now, I owe no person money. I owe some student loans. I do owe that. I don't owe a person no bread because I can't do that. I know how I operate.
Okay. I don't owe nobody no money. I'm sure someone owes me money somewhere. But $6?
I
$6?
don't.
Like,
We ain't even close like that. Nah. Uh-uh.
okay. I
Nope.
would have expected him to just pay me more than that. I would expect him to cover like my gas. If he was gonna pay me back, like give you back 20, give you back, 10, something. But
Everybody else ignored your call. I could have ignored you too. And I said, nah. I went by my own free will to go look out while you stuck on the side of the road. Because to be honest, you could have called the police and they would have brought you $5 in gas.
so
You know
he
what I'm
just ran out of
saying?
gas. Nothing was wrong with his car.
Oh, he ran out of gas because he wanted to drive an hour one way and then drive back on with your gas light on. You It's
But think about
you.
how irresponsible that is. I've run out of gas one time my entire life. So the fact that a man runs out of gas and you belt him out, another man, that tells you who you're dealing with in the first place, in my opinion. Unless times are like
Gonna lie.
dire, dire, dire tight.
The time. The type of person that I am, I wouldn't call nobody. My car would have been right there, and I would have walked my behind to the exit and got my own gas and came back. I tell
I
you,
ran out of
but the type of
gas while I was pulling into a gas station in the rain.
I'm not telling another man, bro, I'm stuck. I need some gas. That's
Was
not
it
happening,
far? Did
right?
you have to go far to get the gas, or was it possible for him to walk and get it? But he ain't had no money, apparently. He didn't have 20 bucks to bail himself out.
Bro, right. Yeah, I get
How
it.
much sure are
Yeah, I
you to
ain't think about
go driving for an hour when you know you ain't got no gas in the first place?
it.
So he
Stay
just don't
put,
even,
yo.
I blame you. I blame you.
Right.
I'm not blaming you, but I'm just saying that's a foolish situation for a grown man to run out of gas. It's just
I
foolish
was
to
young.
me.
I was younger.
It
I was
happens.
dumb. At 42,
You
let
weren't
me get a
dumb.
call.
You were kind. You were kind. You're
Let,
considerate, and you're
let,
planting your seeds in
let,
heaven.
as the grown, let me get a call and see how fast I answer that call. You have to be somebody that is super dire to my heart, right?
Okay.
My niece calls. My niece calls me. I'm up, right? No matter how spoiled she is, I'm up.
You're talking about somebody's
Gabby got
child, right?
got got you,
Of
baby
mine.
girl. Not a problem. Got you. And I'm gonna laugh the whole time I'm in there while I'm tired. It doesn't. That stuff doesn't matter to me, right?
Hmm.
Um, Brandon Owens. He called. I'm up. Got you. Not a itch. There's certain people, but what I do realize is people know who they are that could get me like that.
Mm.
People that don't know, are they kind of little? They're not calling me for those type of inconveniences. Cause they like Ray not doing that. DJ Diggy is absolutely. Hey man, do you mind? I do mind,
I'm gonna be
right?
honest.
And
I'm
then
probably just not gonna answer.
it looks super savage when it's a setup because like they ask and I'm like, no, I ain't doing that. Then the person next to them that is close to me like that, they like, let me call, right? And they call me like, all right, man, when you need it, I got you, no problem. Then it's like I see them, it's like, well, you ain't down. What you want?
I mean, you know who got your back and who don't.
Because if you think about it, Jaleesa, Maggie, and Denise will do things for each other that they won't do for Whitley.
Facts. Denise might, but yeah,
We talked about that. Jaleesa won't.
Jaleesa won't. Jaleesa won't.
At,
Jaleesa will do things for Maggie and Denise that she won't do for nobody else. I agree.
at this at this point in a different world, Dwayne Wayne won't. He'll only do
He
it if
won't.
it has his boy back,
I mean, he'll do things for Denise he won't do for nobody else.
or if Denise asks.
Period. If Denise asks him to do something, he gonna do it. I mean, clearly he was in that pageant. So we got people like
Right?
that. We
There's
got friends, favors.
certain, you know what I mean. So
I will
there's
say
this.
this
There's
for young. Go ahead.
it just depends on who the people are, and they don't have to be people that have been with you forever. I got new people in my life that I consider really good friends and that I will look out for. You know what I mean? Because they've been nothing but good friends, and in the time span, I'm not talking about new like yesterday, but the time span of me knowing them is not compared to some of the other people, and I would still look out. You know what I
I
mean?
got a couple
Like
people like that.
there's people. I got a homie back in Connecticut. I've known him since the fourth grade.
Hmm.
And when I tell you, he could call me right now and say, Ray, I need, if I got, he got, right?
Hmm.
And there's newer people that have been in my life for the last, I want to say, few years or whatever, right? And they've been loyal. So they're not going to necessarily get the shirt and the pants off of me, but they get the shirt off my back, you know?
I mean, I will
Why
say
not?
for young people watching, I would never give out money that I need. So if I'm giving someone money or I'm putting gas in someone's car, I'm not going to have gas in mine. I'm not going to have food on my table. So I never expect it back. So if I don't need the money, then I can afford to give it to you. I'm not going to give you my last and my own bills ain't paid. So that's my advice to our Hill family.
I could dig that. That's real. That's real because I've made that mistake a few times. That's real. I got
Yeah.
no argument there. No argument there whatsoever.
Okay,
Um,
so You want to get into the Hillman homework?
Yeah, let's do it. You ready for the helmet homework?
I'm ready for the Hillman
All
homework.
right, helmet homework, man. What's a moment in your life, big or small, where you had to show courage? Right? Drop a story in the comments. Tag us using the hashtag helmet homework. On Instagram. You can even hop on YouTube because we on YouTube now. Just so y'all know, y'all can
We
see
are, we
see the
are.
face.
Yes.
Um, and just let us celebrate. You know what I mean? Your quiet bravery.
Hmm.
As we want to see what have you done in moments where your spinal cord is tingling. That's really when you be scared. You ever feel that? Right in the back, or
I
you got
have
to
a
use the
recent
bathroom.
spinal cord tingle.
I tell people that, like, if I have to use the bathroom before I got to do something that I'm a little nervous about, I'm like, I'm just gotta get the nervousness out. Right? I just gotta pick.
Hey, they do that on one of them Creed. Creed, got to get it
Right.
out. Hey,
Gotta get the
the
nervousness
real thing.
out. Right.
Let me
Show
find.
us. Show us where you had to show courage and just get through it. You know what I mean? Let us know.
Right. Okay. Are you ready for my quote?
Ooh, yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, so this episode, it talks about, and I picked this quote before I even knew what the homework was going to be. But the episode talks about, like being afraid but pushing through it, right? Jaleesa was afraid of her speech. She could have done the paper, but she pushed through and she did the speech. And Maggie was afraid to ask for the money, but in the middle of the night, she just blurted it out loud. Okay. So early in the episode, the professor says to Jaleesa, it is important for you to be willing to take some risk. So he didn't tell her that she had to take the risk, but I thought that that was nice that it's important for you to be willing to take a risk because I think that in life, all the beautiful things that I have, I don't think I would have had them had I not took a little bit of risk to get there. So it's kind of in line with the homework about showing courage. And it also reminds me of one of the biggest risks I took was leaving education. I quit my job in education, moved back to Georgia, and I got to Georgia and the pandemic hit a week after. So I didn't have a job. And during that time, I could have been really sad, depressed. I could have went back to teaching, but instead I took a risk and I did a boot camp. I did a software engineering boot camp and it literally changed my life. It changed my career field, it changed my financial situation, it changed my confidence, and it gave me so much more flexibility to do things I want to do. So it's important to be willing to take some risk. That's my quote. What you think?
Word. That was a good man. I like how you brought that all back together.
Yep.
That was good.
Thank you.
Word.
Thank you.
Okay. So, my song. You ready?
I'm ready.
So, before and I normally don't do this, right? I normally don't go into these deep situations when it comes to my song. I kind of just hit you guys with it. But my song this time is built around the whole episode as a whole, right? I think in the episode, it just speaks to um, the respect through the whole episode. Jaleesa's respect for her teacher, you know what I mean? Denise's respect for Maggie unknowingly, Maggie not knowing that she had that respect. Like, hey, if you would have just said something, I would have gave you this money, right?
Right.
Maggie's respect for Jaleesa to where she had confidence in her to get her advice and to also ask her, "Can you do it for me?" Right? It takes a lot of respect in order for some to ask somebody to stand up for you, because you gotta get past the pride and all that other stuff like that. So my song is Aretha Franklin's "Respect," 1967 album. RESPECT, respect, right? Because the whole episode was based on just the mutual respect that they have for their different areas. Jaleesa having the respect for her friends enough to read her speech in front of them and get their opinion and their advice. She didn't like it, but she respected them enough that she just fought through her fears, did the speech versus the paper, wrote the paper,
Right. Prepared.
but
Yes.
yeah, right, yeah. So respect, respect, respect.
I appreciate that. That's a good song by Sora too. You know, Aretha Frank's the Delta.
Word.
Did you
Okay.
know that?
That's what's, no.
Well,
But
there
I
you
do I
go.
know it
Look
now.
at you paying homage to us. I appreciate that. Okay, I guess that's it. Is that the whole episode?
That's the whole
I think
episode,
that went by
girl.
quick. Before we leave
Yeah.
you, family, please remember that words have power, so make yours count.
Right. And like a good beat, keep the vibe going and let the music play.